listen, you're happening in Ghana.
Well, not bad. It's been great. And having well, not bad. It's been great. And having this, I'm sure it's going to end definitely well.
That's right. Pastor Newton is no new face in this building. The man who has written read it before. Oh, awesome. So still sitting in for Apostle Francis, who is still doing some missions work. You know, this man, his message and his mission is on course. So I'm still here as the co-host all the time, sitting in for Apostle Francis. A very good afternoon wherever you are. Let me see, in Europe. Okay, it's a good afternoon now. So I'll be doing the discussion here. What's the topic? Affairs, mistrust, and the DNA confusion. Well, in present was that men should be more worried about DNAs than naming ceremonies. So we'll be talking about it in the studio today to help us, my friends who have gathered with me in the studio this afternoon. So, but to you're welcome aboard. Let's have a conversation on affairs, mistrust, and the DNA confusion. Pastor Newton, of this particular child or not? Is it mistrust? 1, is it mistrust? 2, is it just verifying? Just like they do at the voters ID. You know, you're just verifying that yes, indeed, this child is mine. Or it is just nature's way of exposing some sort of promiscuity in the lives of women, which is not evident as it is in the lives of men. Because you know, for a man, someone will say, you can't run away. They will bring the child to you. However, it's difficult for a woman to tell if they are doing something else. And it's only through the DNA that you get to tell whether the child is actually yours. These affairs, the mistrust in relationships today. Do you support that men should be concerned about DNA tests?
This is a very big question because it depends on what happens in the marriage and stuff that will create a suspicion. But in the case where someone to say if all the children resemble me, I may not need to. But I may not need to bother. But as I said, it's about things that are happening that will let you be suspicious of if the lady, the children are some way. And sometimes it's so, as you said, it's the mistrust and what is happening at home, because or a family member too did that and they realize it's not my child. So
we were not major on that particular testing. You know, it was not that known, though it was around. It was not big in the conversational circles to have a DNA test on children. I think it was the story of this popular footballer that brought it out. And shockingly, checking the trends, I've done some reading and I realized that it happens to most footballers.
It's all about the absence at home. Sometimes they are too concerned maybe chasing money, and because there are women to have needs that must be met. And it's just like, excuse me to say, pastors. I know countries in this country that when you're invited as a pastor and you don't take your wife, they give you they dedicate a lady for you people. So if you don't travel
every trip,
for every trip, travel. Not that you don't believe yourself, but anything can happen.
It is important you travel with your
travel
partner.
there. To the extent I even tell people, if the church is not catering for a flight or whatever, you bear it and travel. Especially, let's say those trips that you go 3 months and you are back. A lot can go on, especially when the secretary PA to is a lady that you are sure that is competing with you in terms of beauty and stuff. So it is there. So, but as I was saying, the way you go about it too can affect the home, not your wife alone, but even the children. Because as I was saying, this footballer I'm talking about is a Ghanaian. We know him. He retired recently, and he called for that. And when it was done, he was the father of all the children. But it's created a picture in the children's mind that daddy don't even believe mommy. So it's affected the.
So it is not. To get you right, not to cut you. It is not if it goes against the man. even if it favors him, still
it can cause a problem.
there is a possibility of creating a problem.
Because as I said, what is the reason why you want to go and check? You should be sure of certain things. Some even do it without the knowledge of the woman, and because we can get things you go for hair and all those things. So you go and do it, and now you realize that they were your children. Some too, they saw something. Like I was telling Josie before the show, a man saw a DNA report in the wife's wardrobe elsewhere, and this exes thing is really bringing problems.
We'll jump onto the influence of exes in relationships and marriages in general, but it is quite critical that these conversations have become very topical, very, very topical, to the point where some people are even asking the government to step in
and make it free.
I'm reading a post by one Dela Kofi, all credit to him, on 24th December 2023, before we come to Maud. So Maud, you can drink something before I get there. What do you do when DNA tests based on genetic health screening reveal more than you bargained for? That was his caption. Is completely down and out. He woke up to the realization a while ago that 2 out of the 3 girls he has fathered for the past 9 years are not genetically related to him. This guy is really traumatized, as genetic tests he conducted reveals paternal discrepancy regarding his first daughter, a 9-year-old, who he believed to be his is actually not. The second daughter, who is 7 years old, belongs to him. But then the DNA of the last daughter, a 3-year-old, also suggests he is not the natural father. The wife has taken full responsibility and corroborated the facts as discovered in the DNA test based on genetic health screening. So why do some women do this to men? It's truly sad for any father to discover. Now, this is where I want us to have the conversation. It's truly sad for any father to discover that the child they are raising is actually served by another man. But there is a consolation. That consolation is DNA testing and genetic profiling, which is lifting the lid on a Pandora's box of hidden sexual behavior of women. And that's incredibly awesome. At this juncture, government should simply place a subsidy.
So if they give birth 4 children, after every delivery they test.
And the cheapest that I've seen so far is 7,000. What should necessitate the going in for a DNA test?
Well, if you ask me, I'm completely not for it in the first place, whether it be mandatory or not. Okay, I believe if
Mod,
we
if
go
you
back.
Speak into
Okay, I believe if the whole institution of marriage, I feel like there's been great orientation, like the whole society, and it's sort of a ripple effect from family, parenting, education. When I say education, I mean schooling, I mean social media, technology. They all have a part to play. So if we go back to the basics of marriage, the person who originated it, God himself, what was his actual hierarchy? What were the roles for both male and female, for the husband and the wife, like Christ and the church? If we get to really understand these roles, I don't think there would even be a necessity for this DNA in the first place, because we will realize that the man is to be loving the woman, and a lot goes into that kind of life, that love that Christ gave us, that unconditional love, and the woman is to be receiving the love and responding to it. Okay, and in responding to it, there's so much. I have a lot of scriptures I want to give. There's so much that the woman is expected to do. So we can't do this ourselves. We need to go back to the drawing board. The person who originated this whole thing called marriage, it is real work. That is why he instituted his thing. He has his manual. We can't go about it the way we want to. Unfortunately, now what do we see in schools? What are we taught? What are our kids taught in schools? What is social media projecting to us? Telenovelas, what are they telling us? Even technology. This is going to be quite controversial, but the so-called DNA itself, what's the yardstick that is actually should I say true? Because I've seen instances, okay, where I've had people close to me go to do medical checks, and they checked at different places, and they were not corresponding. There were different results. So that's probably something for another day. What is the assurance that this whole DNA thing is actually true? What if the medical practitioners also want to make money from it? Because obviously their profession must go on. Forgive me to say, their profession must go on, and society has necessitated this because we have given them reason to do that. Women, we are not conducting ourselves as the Bible told us to. If we are conducting ourselves in that manner, I don't think we would even want to go behind our husbands. The issue of infidelity wouldn't come in the first place. And if we are loving them, if we are responding to their love, I don't think they would have reason to go out there, and we wouldn't even, that mistrust would
sense of the DNA corroborating the facts of the genetic history of a person. I want us to set it aside for the meantime. Let us look at what will necessitate someone asking for a DNA test. Why am I saying this? Because clearly we've seen that we find out in strange ways, like a couple going through a little confusion.
Yeah.
Then someone out of the blue, or in another instance, a divorce.
Yeah.
Then sometimes blatantly, the lady comes out to say, well, all 3 kids are not even yours. You are here bragging. So whether or not the doctors will make money, I don't want that to be the foundation of the conversation. So why then to necessitate the act, like you mentioned? I love that you
foreign culture. Now we uphold westernization more than our very own culture. We are promoting individualism. Meanwhile, in our cultural setting, back then, our forefathers, what were they really practicing? Was it working for them? I haven't done much research, but I know that most of them were practicing polygamy.
Kevin would agree with you.
Even they were practicing polygamy, okay, but they understood the rules. It just goes back to understanding the rules.
But why is it that we have, Kebi, let me come to you. Why is it that whenever we have issues of this nature, like Maud is talking about, the adaptation of the Western culture, we talk about it. But when it comes to, can we go back and pick what our fathers did? Another person is quick to tell you that, but they married more than one. And that is not so Christian. It is not the best, because a man is supposed to have just one wife. Yeah. And secondly, also, another people, that's a second school of thought, they believe strongly that the women in those days pitched within that year period, they tolerated a lot of things because they did not have the wherewithal. They didn't have the money of their own. They couldn't take the decisions. So regardless of however they were being treated, they stayed there. So some people will say, oh, now we're reading because of Nkolani to win.
Well, I'll take it. I'll have a geopolitical approach to my answer. First of all, I keep saying this, that especially in our part of the continent, Africa, economics plays a lot when it comes to affection and relationship. So
there can be no romance without finance.
Punchline. Bars. So what I have observed, which I stand to be corrected, is it seems that most ladies accept the one with a deep pocket to please societal pressure. After accepting the deep pocket, then they gravitate towards the one that they really
truly love.
They truly love. That is observation that a hypothesis that maybe somebody can test. And
you are propounding it. I beg to understand.
Yes. So it's like no. Oh, let me this a certain friend of mine was trying to date a girl. Hey, this is our family. We are all lawyers, so you know that kind of standard, which is good. Yeah. It's just that for some reason, maybe when you go to Araba, the third born, first born, second born, one is chief justice, one is private. When you go to Araba, for some interesting reason, her car broke down one day at Obechebi. She had to bypass Abuso Okai to get it fixed, and then Ejanto's son came, and then one thing led to another. and then you know what I'm saying. So it's like you are come to break the protocol, will not allow. So it's like, oh, then Echo, let's do this. I'm going to do what my parents want me to do. I'm going to marry lawyer X, but
the hat is for
you understand. So the societal expectations that lawyer X's wife is her, but her heart is now it takes very few gentlemen who accept, but there are a lot of people. They'll be like, Charlie, if society is going to be wicked to me that I couldn't become a lawyer or I don't have that social sense, they are going to accept and take a Rama or the lady from me, then I'll also be that wicked to also play backstage and also do what I have to do. It's like, so Charlie, you do me, I do you. Society, mo share ma, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mo share ma. My chocho munchono went to somebody else, and guess what? Even the bro guy's family will be like, "Oh, German, you know, monkeys play." They will even justify it.
Yeah.
You understand? So in this case, it is very likely, in my opinion, that even if there's any biological conditions to bear kids, when she is with her bro guy, her inside out sense will even allow childbirth to even be there. But if you the one that she doesn't really love, the hormones and the
are not responding.
The homecoming ceremony, you know, and faster. You know what I'm saying? So it is possible that the period in which the rich legitimate husband is doing his host and win, it was the same period, but because the different times, once hormonal and biological factors were for it, the bro guy's semen might
all things work together.
Then terms and conditions were what? Terms and conditions like no drama. But in her heart, he wishes is the broke guy. So in the case where she has opportunity to go and check, she wouldn't mind. Little will she will something come up, maybe a text message, and then the rich lawyer will then have trust issues. Then he will go and check. Then guess what?
They now check
then
and find out.
So if we want to reduce this DNA matter, to me, let's allow bro girls to marry rich guys to marry bro girls, and let them be happy, because it's becoming too much like when marriage was very business minded. We marry
to get kingdom,
treaty, war, whatever. But now it's not like that anymore. Now if you are willing to learn, you can learn a skill, whether you are 40 or 30. It is not too late. So economic empowerment is easier now. So parents, pastors, big status families, hello, it has changed. So now if your daughter loves somebody and is a blacksmith, up it, put it on Instagram, invest
the capital,
it will get big,
expand it,
so that this funny thing now she has to now run away, fake that she's not well, go to date this boy, and then now she doesn't know who the whatever. And one thing I've realized is sometimes if you realize that a certain father in choose or tianeba, and the thing is not clicking, that means that the voice command, the source code is wrong. And you realize that Charlie does something. Don't tell the child it won't work, that because DNA to DNA, the source code and what I say, I'm telling you about.
Let me come to Josie. I think that KB has raised an interesting hypothesis. I would even love to do a full analysis on that, because growing up, I get to hear a lot, and I also happen to find friends who couldn't be with certain people because of the status social of the families, the social cycles. Someone is like, hey, no, this relationship, it won't work.
Also Barney.
Comments of that nature. So, Josie, this will be a very controversial question to you, but it's something I wrote down for you personally. No, because I knew we were going to have two ladies on the panel today, so I thought of it. I didn't know whether it was going to go to Maud or it was coming to
gone to Maud.
But now it's coming to you.
Lady in red.
Is it true, or have you heard in circles that ladies tend to give children to a responsible man, but would love to still keep in touch with the one they truly love?
Controversial indeed.
What have you heard it? Have you heard this before? That a lady may have a baby for someone, but at that material moment, like the economic factors that KB enumerated, she's like, no, he can't take care of the child right now, so I'd rather give it to Pastor Newton
Yeah, happens
because
a lot.
he is in
Responsible,
the
he has
His
to
tithes
take
are
it.
big.
yes, you know.
He receives a lot of offerings, so he can take care of the child.
This paternity fraud, it has become very prevalent in this present day. You tell us your opinion on that. Why do you think most women do that? Though KB has mentioned the economic factors and all that, why do most women do that? And what would keep pushing a lady to go back to her laimomo, like KB will always say? What pushes women to go back?
Well, I know of women that would orchestrate that whole planting of your child to whoever because of where they want their children to be. Yeah, it's actually planned. I'm free self.
Okay.
I want them to attain such heights. I want them to attain some respect in society and maybe be the next king. So it is planned and skewed towards that. So if it's a funeral setting or something such that the woman would, affiliate that relationship with whoever that's on board, they would do it, and then the next, plan or plot follows.
Planning and plotting.
Yes, it follows. So
They plan it at funerals.
everywhere. I mean, where there's a party, there's a funeral.
Okay.
Once that person is at post,
Agenda.
the agenda flows. But yeah, and again, now guys of late are behaving like they are the price. And
Are we not?
It's a question.
I mean,
It's
hey,
a
KB,
question.
I mean,
It's a question.
are the guys not a
what
prize?
we know is you do the chasing, we do the okay. Hey, I'm not interested. Okay,
talk
come
about
it.
again.
I'll pray about
So
it.
I say we chase you.
Time no day.
We are that
Because with the population, you are more than us. So
Isaiah
Exactly.
you don't agree.
Isaiah 4:1.
Yeah.
Producer, get me Isaiah 4:1.
Obinium.
We'll read it to
If you don't agree, there's someone who is ready. Because
Isaiah
unlike you
4
said,
verse
those
1.
times I'll think about it.
I'll
The
think
guy is
about
ready
the
to
guy will
wait.
persist.
Oh, but now
The guy will
They are
chase
bigger
after
fish to
you.
fish.
But
But now it's not like
But
that.
someone is
You
already
chase one,
crashing,
two.
so-
Sometimes you even with that at the back of your head, you lower your guard down and then okay, I agree. And then they come all strong, and then later they are declining, and they are like, what's going on? So that there's a whole lot of everybody is wise sort of in their own closets. They are coming with a whole lot of ideologies in their head. The lines are blurred out. Okay, so there's no trust, unfortunately, and also our upbringing.
What is so? I want to distinguish the two in a very interesting way.
Okay.
How are people getting wise in their own heads when the said institution is supposed to be for two people? So there are a lot of things I disagree with KB on, but I agree solely with him when it comes to these things. When a relationship is discussed, why should one person feel like they are taking advantage of me,
Yes.
so I want to be wiser?
Yes.
Where is that thought coming from?
So-
Why do you want to be wiser in the relationship? Like, no, you are the one who should sweep so that I can lord myself over you. No, but sweeping is a basic thing. Every person should be able to sweep.
And meanwhile,
Cleaning-
it's fools who fall in love. So why do you want to be wise?
Why do you want to? Why do people want to be wise in this present day?
Yeah, so the Bible says, can two walk except they agree? But from the get-go, we are all in dissonance. There's no agreement anywhere. We are just marrying because probably our biological clock is ticking. We are aging. We need to make the mark. We need to have our kids already. And okay, this guy has presented himself, so why not? So from the get-go, I don't even see you as my husband.
Hey, what's the news? Why? How come we are hearing this? So
Wow.
This is
But
wow.
At
Yes.
Josie,
you
this is
came
what-
right in time, so okay, let's go.
So I was 12 o'clock on your clock. I was
That's
12
one.
o'clock on your clock.
Kind.
Some ladies,
Yes.
this is not general assumption, by the way. We have to put it out for everybody. It's not a general assumption, by the way. These are thoughts you have gathered from people.
Yeah.
this gentleman came at the time that maybe you wanted to settle.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily about love.
No.
It's not necessarily about settling down. But I feel like if I don't take the decision now on this
maybe
guy,
I'm bad.
Now or never.
What you say?
No,
Now,
never.
maybe I'm bad.
so, but still, you could be still connected with someone else.
So yes, so at that point in time, boy A presented himself. Okay, let's just go with boy A. But back in my
You know what I'm
closet, I'm
saying?
feeling boy C.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
know, but boy C too.
Some
Money
way.
no
Mount
day.
and
Ow,
Mount
ow.
day.
He doesn't have the money to even foot.
He doesn't have iPhone 8.
Yes.
iPhone 8 Quebec.
There's
He
a
Falling
lack,
doesn't
short
have
of
the
the
money
glory.
for us to even settle.
there's a
You
lack
know,
of
and you
vitamin
know,
M.
Women cannot always stand for the family all the time. I mean, our mothers did it for us, but now it's rare.
To me
We
bread.
can do it
Bread.
for a point or to a point,
Something like
but we can't continue. At a point, she will flare up.
Wow.
She'll get tired.
when
She
the
will flare up.
fundamentals are weak.
Yes. The fundamentals will expose.
The DNA will expose you. Okay, we are doing some 31 minutes into the hour of 2. You're talking about affairs, mistrust, and the DNA confusion that we have seen today. Interesting things I'm hearing today, and especially this side. You are coming in strong, and the pastors too are on my left. Breaking in more scriptures. Let's take a look at this scripture, and I would put out the WhatsApp line for you to contribute to the discussion that we are having on To Be Frank, our favorite podcast. Let's take a look at Isaiah chapter 4 verse 1. What the scripture says. It says that in that day 7 women will take hold of one man and say, we will eat our own food and provide our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our disgrace. The first day I read this scripture, I was baffled. Pastor Newton, I was really baffled. I'm saying this to connect to what Josie shared with us. Very, very interesting. The times where people feel like there's a sort of disgrace or shame coming to them. The biological clock is ticking.
Some is even all siblings are married and
Yeah.
you are the only one.
there.
Only the eldest.
Only the
Yeah,
eldest.
eldest.
And you
So because of that, some culture, the eldest until the eldest is married, they don't allow the
Yeah,
younger people
too.
because they said they would use it to disrespect the eldest daughter.
So, which means that in the holistic nature, there are a lot of contributory factors to this mistrust and the affair and this whole DNA confusion. But then you can also send us your message on 020-343-8710. 020-343-8710. Send us your comments, send us your thoughts on this matter. The present day confusion, paternity fraud. Some women, assumingly giving out children to responsible men that does not really belong to them. The interesting one is the latest Nigeria footballer who has fathered 3 kids, and shockingly, he just found out that all the 3 kids belongs to the wife's pastor.
But that's not
And,
bad because even God cry, we adopted children, so he's fathering us and he didn't give birth to us. So it's normal. Oh, yeah.
So, Pastor Newton, let's
Yeah.
come to you, relating the scripture to what Josie just shared with us. We'll get very deep into the other matters, but people anticipating that there will be some sort of disgrace if I don't get married. Oh, this gentleman has come around. Let me just give him the chance because my clock is ticking. I need to give birth.
I even know of people who they don't even want to even marry the person. It's just impregnate me and let me have a child, and so that this biological clock that is clicking, when it even pass, I have a child I can be calling my son, my daughter, and and it's not mainly about they want to be in a marriage. It's only when, because some people are financially sound, so it's not about they want a responsible guy who can father the child or something. But in this scriptural context, it talks about people who are financially sound and they don't want to be committed to any relationship. It's just in the case where I realized there was a lady who was making a confession to me that even as ladies, they don't mind you being married and they just have a child for you and they don't need to come and compete with your wife in the house. Just rent somewhere for them, they will be there and the child
Why
just
don't
carries.
they want single men to do that and married men?
That's why you see everybody sees married people as responsible people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Unfortunately.
especially every proper marriage should be a responsible people, man and woman. So far as the guy is at home, Charlie, the children are schooling, the wife, everything is cool, especially based on what they see in town. Because there's a lot of faking too in town. You know, they come out, they are laughing, they are smiling, but Charlie,
You know,
they're home there, no cool. So if they see this, they say, oh, this guy, Charlie. So some driving set themselves up strategically position themselves where a one night stand or something will happen, and they'll just
The funeral analogy.
and some politicians to campaign trail and things. Yeah, then when you just give birth to them, no, I don't want to come and destroy your marriage. Just rent somewhere, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, easily gone. Every month, I know 5K is coming. I'm taking care of the child. What just matters is maybe open a Juma, pass by.
But that's you see, so that's where I have the problem. I think that regardless of how you see it, I think I was having this conversation with a friend, and she was saying that, oh, at my age, I just need a child. I said, no, you are lying, because there would be some level of commitment.
Oh, yeah.
It may not be 30 days in a month, but when you demand or require of a man to pass by once in a month, that is commitment.
Yeah, even before you even deliver, you may want the man around at the hospital and all. So as I said, this is just deception. They will use "I want a child for now." By the time will come, they will start demanding, "Me too, I need you around than your wife." After all, your wife can't give birth for you, especially in those cases. But with what KB and Josie said, aside the economic and societal pressure, those things, some too, there are problems at home that are not discussed. Like with these footballers matters. Maybe the woman has always complained that you are always away and you are not around and have needs. But if the guy too doesn't have I don't know much into football, how do they are when they go for camping, those things, I don't know. Fine, you may not be allowed to have your wife with you, but if the person is in town and you can drive from camp and pass by and see your wife, that kind of, because a little absence to some women, because there are some people, Charlie, they are sexually aroused faster.
Okay.
So they may go somewhere, see a fresh guy who, and you see now too, there are a lot of these single guys that are agenda boys. Yeah, they want to intentionally go and break homes.
Wow.
They will see a fine woman. They can. It's like they can sense that we are sending in Then they try and they come and show you care because your husband is not around.
Yeah.
So at the bar or something, your key force help. Oh, let me help you. Let me take some driving will drive you home.
Yeah.
So they don't. But before you see, because your husband is absent. And they fill in that gap. You also get emotionally attached to the person. And one day something leads to something. So those things, I believe that things happen at home that they should make time and this, because most of the time, either one person is communicating, the other is not listening, or the other hasn't even communicated it at all, because they are just concerned. A footballer, he's paid $400,000 a weekend. So far as there's money, I can go shopping wherever I want. They think that's enough, but the sexual need is there. That one we don't need to.
But in a broader perspective, Pastor Newton, I don't know. I disagree slightly, because I'm looking at it like, let's say, would you say it is justification just because someone was absent?
No, that I'm not saying that it's justified, but I'm seeing it in the sense that if that is the issue, they should talk about it, because most of the stories
if
I know,
it is not done. So that is my point. If we don't discuss, even if
it's
we
not
discuss,
just because, as my sisters and I've been saying all the time, that the word of God doesn't permit us to do that. Let's talk about it. Let's make it work. That's where if one has to be traveling with the other, because some people's schedules are busy. I remember I got an opportunity to go abroad for something, and I was asking, does it allow for my wife to join me? And they said no, and I said I don't want it, because Charlie, Abrocha way dear, Ghana cry, cry, you can't survive.
Like me sipping tea.
Yes.
You have a way you can survive, and they can't force me to also fast and pray all the time.
they can't force you.
I'm charging up anointing. Where am I going to release it? Because there are times a prophet Nana will say, you finish ministering on stage and you two I said one shank come name, so you want somebody to go and pour that prophecies on.
Wow.
So, but that shouldn't be the justification. Let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. And the angle where there's an old boyfriend or there's an ex or there was a village boyfriend I had and they didn't allow me marry and that connection comes. I know one that even the guy was looking for a job and incidentally ended up seeing job vacancy as a gate man in his ex's house.
Whoa.
And because she didn't see it as a red flag, but the husband was maltreating her. So when the boyfriend came, when the husband goes to work, not the Nijineni, you talk and you bond, and one day one thing led to the another, and the person. So it shouldn't be the justification.
Finding a confidant in a relationship, I think that it's a very gray area. It's a difficult topic. I think that for most people who are in relationships, you know that there are times where, like you're saying, you have discussed an issue over and over and over again, and your partner just doesn't get you. But then you turn your head to this particular person, and it feels as though every single thing you are saying, they get it.
Everything they know.
And it feels like they understand you, they connect easily, they are talking more, and you find yourself pouring out so much to this person. And if you do not take care, worse comes off and it gets murky. But Maud, there's something that Pastor Newton said I want to find out. In times past, men were made to believe that women could keep themselves more than men. You know that, as for women,
I believe that because women are able to keep themselves, especially if they are committed. If they are committed in a relationship. If they are committed in a, like Ubeka said, me ko abrochaba me ko yejuma 5 years. The woman can wait.
Usually
fight every guy coming in. But huna be man 5 years no ko.
But sometimes sometimes the women who can wait, they are not pretty enough. Yes.
Oh no.
If you want to go there, we'll go there. But you more need to have your thing. A lot of virgins are not pretty enough. That's why they are virgins. Oh yeah.
Anyway, so Maud, what isn't it shocking that we are finding out in a very strange way that most people who travel for job, who travel for projects, their women are not able to really hold it together? What's going on? What's going on?
It's an interesting thing. For me, I'll always take it back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
like
I can see that. The Bible
not necessarily Bible, but I feel like we are not ready to work.
Well,
especially our time in our times, we are not willing to work. Relationships and marriage are real work. You see, ironically, you see us channeling so much of our energy into various aspects of our lives, our jobs,
MBA.
Our startups and all that. Like you see the kind of energy this lady or this guy is channeling into that particular one, even our ministries. But ironically, when it comes to our marriage or our relationships, like these are the ones that are even going to more likely impact our lives and change the narrative
of our lives.
Make or break us, and rather for those ones we are like taking them lightly. So I feel like it's a very risky thing. If we really come to understand that marriage and relationships are things that we need to be very intentional about, then we will be willing to learn how we are going to adapt. So all of these things would come up. If you are learning, you are reading books, definitely you get to know or hear stories of people who had to travel, or you know that at some points in a marriage, your husband or your wife may have to travel for this reason. During those times, what would you be doing and all that? And it also comes back to our purpose. What's the purpose of marriage? It's for us to show God's glory, okay? But in the layman's sense, it's for the woman to understand the man's purpose and to help or assist him. If you really understand this, then before marriage, as part of the work, during your waiting period, you would be searching for someone whose purpose you are sure you can submit to. And you are sure that it's in alignment with what you really want to do as a person.
Wow.
You don't deceive yourself.
So it should be like an honest conversation you have with yourself. At the end of the day.
With yourself.
So if you're really chasing this gentleman who started ministry strongly and he's going to villages evangelizing, ask yourself, can you
Are
deal
you
with
sure? Exactly. Maybe it's
So
nice
that's what
to
you are saying.
Exactly. Maybe it looks nice to you and all
even
that.
have the conversation with the other person.
Wow.
In
Exactly.
every relationship I enter, the first thing I told the ladies, I'm going to be a pastor, and I know I'm going to be an itinerant. So I'm not like a pastor that for like 2 years he has not moved out of his local vicinity. And I had people telling me point blank they are not ready for that.
Exactly.
And I move on because you
And
see,
by
you can't
force.
change them to become what they said they are not.
You
ready
can't
for.
change anyone. Even Christ has given us our free will. You, a lady or a man, you can't change him. So be honest with yourself. I feel like if we really do that, and that's when we feel like maybe you haven't met that person that you feel like has that purpose that you want to. It's a matter of time. Keep working on yourself. You want to meet that person, but you too, are you that person? Are you the woman that person really wants to meet? So it's a chance for you to take your time, find someone that you really align. That is, if only you want a marriage that is going to work. I mean, if you want one that you are going to divorce, fine. That's one.
Oh,
you don't
people
have a
want
problem.
marriages.
The matro.
This is what is that's the more reason that there's a lot of prenups in the US in recent times, because the ladies just want to marry the richer men, and then with time they get the property and leave them. For them, like the divorce is a must for them. Okay, but if you really want this marriage that is going to be the kind of marriage that God has planned for everyone to have, then you're going to take your time, and in taking your time, you are really going to find that person that has a purpose that for you. I mean, from a woman's perspective, it should be a purpose that you can submit to. Yeah.
But then again, people talk about the fact that in our African setting, I don't know, because I don't know the statistics and conversation in the European, the Americas, but most Africans don't discuss travels. It is something that I've realized. This is it. So someone gets an opportunity to go and do maybe their masters. They convince the lady that it is for a year and I'm back. I mean, let's be honest. The lady now psychs herself that my man will be back in a year. Right after the first year. In a ship, can it be? Yes, you know, he's seen other beautiful things, and it's like, no, there are opportunities there. A phone call comes in, I think I may have to delay a bit. There's this job I'm chasing, and now the lady is squeezing herself. Like, what are you talking about? I thought you said in a year you'll return. Okay, I'll give you the chance. Oh, don't worry, I'm working some things out. You will join me soon. So, like you are saying, discussion, it doesn't go on. 2 years pass by. What are you doing there? I got a job. The job is good. Let me save up money. Then this lady is still being understanding. Let me save up. Aside the economic factors that you want to satisfy the needs of the lady financially, she also has sexual needs and emotional needs. So now 1 year turns to 3 years, turns to 4 years, turns to 5 years. I have a friend who threatened the husband before he came back to the country.
Wow.
And when she narrates the stories, it's quite funny. Now they speak about it freely. She said, I told him that if you don't come this week, I'll sleep with someone.
The man showdown.
The man landed on a Friday night.
Oh, so it was possible all this while.
So that is the question. Was it possible?
It was.
Could you have passed by? Do I have to threaten you before you come down? So
that's the language that maybe he understood.
So KB, when we talk about people getting opportunities, I will not restrict it to just travels. So it could be a position somewhere that will require more of your time. It will require that you not stay at home that much. And so these conversations do not go on. So you do not even get to connect emotionally. You guys don't bond. Sometimes in a whole week, in a whole month, you are home once. And when you come, it's not like you are coming to stay to talk. You are picking up a document and you are leaving in the next 30 minutes. And all of these things go on. And sometimes we downplay the impact of some of these scenarios onto the marriages. Can someone know in entirety what the partner can become in future to brace themselves for it?
Well, I think when you are the dating or courtship time too, it's a very critical time. You should be able to get snippets of even a person's persona. For what Pastor Newton said, there are some ladies. They're mere. They fall in love with some pastors wear white shoes.
Yeah.
And then some to the sporting waves. Like they look like some. It's
not
like
crazy.
they just like the white shoe and the sport. It's like, oh, Charlie, you'll be a very good husband. Little did she know that. That's
And
just
some too like the fame, but the price
Exactly.
to pay to back the fame. Yeah, that's what they are not
you
ready
understand.
to
So
do.
you went in for the shoes and the sporting waves and the white suit. By the end of the day, it is requiring you more than what you thought it was. So I think people also should get real.
Exactly.
If you are going to marry like an evangelist, then that's why also with the ladies the compromise have to come in. Then it's like you, the lady, I'm afraid to say, depending on the type of work he's going to do, you can't have a very rigid career path. I'm a woman empowerment, I'm going to get a higher echelon kind of position.
Breaking the glass ceiling.
Breaking the glass to break the eight. Because
This one there is breaking the. Hey!
Your geopolitical comment is getting political alone without the
bad,
geo.
my
Ah,
so he
it's
left
possible.
to go and do his masters.
Yeah.
But I realized that even the period in which he's away, it's enough to even get a master's.
Yeah, suspect.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow.
So I think from the beginning, let's make it bare. Some ladies will tell, I like to travel. I like to see new places. I like to globetrot. It's important, she says it, and it's important you also respect it.
Honest conversation.
Honest conversation, but there's a way men always think they can have their way around. It's women are the weaker vessel, they are supposed to submit. So it's like, I have in my plans to become some UN ambassador all this while. I won't tell you about after marriage, I'll coerce her, she will understand, or if the money comes,
Because she's supposed to submit.
you understand. That is where she'll submit till that period when you realize, hey, Asoma
Son.
Akosia Tarzan Bikra. You understand? Now, I know I have a lot of bias for science and stuff like me, my community. We've done our best to help marriages. We invented sex toys. But for some reason, some of the girls libido no.
It's high.
220 kilometers per hour. So it's like you realize that
There is nothing the structure or system the world has provided.
so we have done everything,
Has
we have
solved
made
their
everything to
issues.
help them so that in those periods, no, But it's like some of them they started experimenting before the time. So their body is even so the small intervention we brought Christ not helping. So to me,
Let me read this. A Nigerian doctor has responded to the recent news. So she is saying this, and I'm going to put it straight to Josie first. Men should undergo male fertility test before their marriages. If they don't, they shouldn't ask for DNA test. Now, this is why she's saying that. Obiama Onyia, a Nigerian medical expert, has stated that men should undertake male fertility testing before marriage or avoid asking their women for DNA test in the future.
Yeah.
She responded to the Super Eagles players issue, the Coyote's assertion that he is not the biological father of his 3 children with a estranged wife, isn't he? The doctor also said that the footballer might have an infertility issue.
probably.
It may not entirely be her fault. She must have been under a great deal of pressure, she wrote. They got married, no kids after 1 year, then 2 years, etc. Turns out he had been firing blanks. Mother-in-law was breathing down heavily on her neck, threatening to bring in another wife. So the guy gets proactive and takes wifey to their pastor for prayers. He knew he had been shooting blanks, but was loath to let anyone know.
Wow, look.
It's fine. If wifey took all the blame, more convenient. Alas, the prayers got answered. Kids came in quick succession, and everyone was happy.
Yeah.
Until there was cause to do the dreaded DNA. Yes, the pastor helped to solve a problem, but in trying to solve a problem, he has created
Created another
even
problem.
bigger
So meaning
problem.
the children are the pastors.
The children are the pastors. So now the question will be the male fertility issue. Let us situate it in the context of Africa, because a lot of times people do not think that men are infertile.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of times,
Yeah.
let's be honest.
Even
There's
when
that assumption.
there's
Yes,
problem,
ignorance.
they are attacking the
Yeah.
women.
It's
The women.
always
Yeah.
it's
always
always
the women.
the women. The women are the ones that are not fertile. They are the ones with the issue. Do you have any stories of people who had to go through people breathing down their neck or how do you anticipate that particular feeling will be like? What is that experience like for knowing that a man is not shooting well and doesn't know? Do you support that male should have? You see, I'm bringing up this conversation because in the traditional setting, when marriages were being conducted, we had parents from the man's side or relatives that looked deep into the background of the woman to tell whether there is any kind of sickness, any kind of issue, infertility in the family, so that we are able to deal with it. Now it's modernized. Before a couple gets married, I don't know if you did it. The church requires your medical statement, so you have to do. Not all churches do it, but well, I did it. I don't know for you. You have
for
to.
my place, the reason was so not just fertility,
STD
but is it the genetic SS and those things?
Okay.
The reason was that
genotype.
when you advise them that it is not meeting, so they should. One woman accused our church that we are the reason why she's unmarried now.
Wow.
But I also have this belief that when you do a medical check and you know your status, you're able to pray well. You don't misfire. So for me, for instance, my church, whenever I'm ministering anywhere and I'm feel led to pray for people who want fruit of the womb, I call men too.
Why not?
Because sometimes we think it's the women that.
So it's just the women we call for.
But the men too are sick. And so some don't do the test thinking that some even with the deception where that they think they get erected anytime as single people, they are batting, so they are good, they can produce children. But those things, there's the low sperm count issues and those
most
things.
people are confusing erectile dysfunction to potency. As a conversation for another day. But then would you ask if you think that it is necessary? Would you ask that a man gets a male fertility test for you to know?
It's very necessary.
In the lady too. It's not only the man. Both should do.
You both should know each other very well. I should have myself checked, and so do you. I mean, we can't form a unit where we are oblivious to what we are made of. So yes, we have to run checks on whether you're fertile or not. It's very important, because I know of a family where I think they have fertility issues. I think the lady, her brothers, they all had delayed childbirth. Yes. And so because that was actually privy to the partner, because the childbirth wasn't there, I mean the childbearing thing wasn't there, they were okay. And they were trying other means of having children. So it takes some load off you, and you still want to go with it if you are okay with what's happening. I mean, if you want to go with the love, you know,
some can even be treated. So
yes. So
not cutting our sister, but some of them are maybe this low sperm count issue, so there are medications they can put the guy on to get him. Some do it before they get married and they do the check and see now he's okay. It's because of the lack of this medical checkup. That's why some guys say they want to test the machine before they go and pay for it, because but if the medical sciences are, and I know of families too, the issue is just delay childbirth. Both parties are okay.
It's just that there's something called rhesus factor.
Something like that, but some to our family people. So you have to pray.
Okay. We'll be moving to the second phase.
Somebody like Abraham in the Bible, the issue was a delayed childbirth.
Smart, I wasn't done.
Oh, please.
So with the second aspect is, I know of someone who was okay, but along the line there was an issue
in the marriage.
Okay. So there are interventions you equally will have to take along the way. Because the guy was fine. Was fine. They had their child and everything. But along the way, he had, low sperm count.
So it's even the food we eat and all.
Pose them.
Yes, so all that should not shake the marriage. That's where you all have to work as a unit.
So there are a lot of things that I'm hearing too much. So, but
the issue is
someone can take the decision of having an affair based on various reasons. Various reasons. You traveled, one could be a contributory factor. Because we are doing more of education on the platform, I want us to enumerate these things. So one, you traveled, you didn't discuss it, and all this, it can push your partner to look somewhere. Then two, economic factors.
Yeah.
You know,
The
someone
Libomo
thinks that,
effect.
yes, let me just have a baby for this particular person. He can support, because I've heard that lately. It's a very controversial statement that I'm going to make on here today. I've heard that lately, if a man is about to get married and the lady proposes a chairman, he should be careful.
Chairman for
Because chairman for
Vice
the
versa.
reception.
For the
Yes.
reception,
Yes.
Some of them actually
Oh, okay.
did finance the wedding.
chairman reception to have
Yeah,
chairman.
reception chairman.
Reception.
And so
He's usually a big man,
Aha.
probably a portable pot belly, almost have an SUV,
Contributed
almost
to the
grey hair.
marriage.
Usually
Who
have
contributed,
political.
so-
Usually have
and
political.
He
most
has a
times,
stake in the marriage.
when they introduce this person at the reception stage, you believe that he's just there to chaperone the reception, so that later when she says, "Oh, chairman,
Yeah.
oh, have you forgotten
The
the chairman
chairman.
at our?
You've been
He gave us
introduced."
this
Yeah.
5,000
Yeah.
for our rent
Yeah.
when we were struggling,
Right.
So you don't think too far, but then he is an OBJ.
He's actually a shareholder.
There is
Yes.
you know, a shareholder, to put it in a more
Yes.
politically correct manner. For the boys, they call it OBJ.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. So there are a lot of factors, economic factors. We have discussed that,
Yeah.
and medical factors. We
Yeah,
have also looked at
reproduction
that.
issues,
yeah.
So clearly, these are some of the things that are contributing for the mistrust, the affairs, and all that. But let me just read some two comments quickly, because the first comment is interesting. This is Fred from Kumasi. Says, I think the issue of mistrust and so on can be tackled when we condemn the idea of married couples still playing the game with ex-boyfriends and girlfriend things. If you are married, put an end to that.
Right.
This thing is topical. Pastor
I
Newton.
raised this, the exes.
You raised it earlier when the conversation started, but I don't know why I struggle to accept it.
Yeah, it's
That
everybody.
people think that because somebody is an ex, cut them off,
Yeah.
don't have anything to do with them. Because truth be told, there are some people whom their exes are the ones that have actually helped catapult them
Yeah.
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 into a very
Not
good
even
position
one,
right
but
now.
he's even a help in the marriage.
In the marriage
You
as
know.
well.
So, what would be, you as a pastor, let me bring that in. I'm putting you on the spot. What would be your advice to a couple that is still in touch with their exes and stuff like that? Because the mistrust can stem from there.
Yeah.
But it also depends on how the exes, the breakup to
Yeah,
happened. Yeah. For me, for instance, most of my breakups were you can't marry a pastor.
Yeah.
So that one shouldn't
Yeah, it's
make
a
the person
no-no.
an enemy to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So it depends on how the breakup came. And then
But guess what? They can't train with the pastor. It's so annoying.
yeah. So
Marry, they
as I
don't
said,
marry
they
you,
do
but they
things.
can-
They do things that
alongside.
indirectly they are trying to.
I mean, they will not
Create
have
a set-
inheritance
you
know.
Yeah, but for me, my wife knows all those people. And okay, that's with me. I tell her everything.
Yeah.
Even when we close this program, I'll tell her what we started saying at 2 to the 4
transparency
o'clock.
card.
Yeah, just talking. So she knows she can pick my. I'm not concerned about what happens on her phone.
Yeah.
But when she picks mine, I don't
Yeah.
feel jittery.
Yeah.
My calls come even from father's level to whoever. When they call me, she can answer, and she knows everybody. And I open up. So it's, as I said, it depends on how the relationship got broke up, and then the person is not an enemy. If what brought about the breakup was something that, Charlie, you have to be careful about. You have to be careful. But in certain cases where it was just maybe there are some issues, for instance, family didn't accept you guys to marry.
Yeah.
I don't know why. You should,
Hey, are you sure that one is
yeah,
it not?
depends on the
Is it
angle.
not a hot
Yeah,
hot
that
bend?
one-
Example, maybe
can
tribe.
be a
Yeah,
very.
it's a hot bend.
So example, tribal.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not.
but
It's
tribal
not
is a hot bend because
yeah,
you
that's
see,
what I'm
KB,
saying.
let's take this scenario. If you're looking to be with a lady that you truly love, she's in a different tribe and you are in a different tribe, and it doesn't work, and you find someone else. Are you sure if that relationship is rekindled a little?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That like, if
there
it's
won't be
tribal, that means
fireworks.
it is not medical, it is not economic. It's like when it's tribal,
It's
usually
choice.
all the above boxes have been ticked.
Yeah.
It's just origin pay.
Yeah.
So that is what makes it even more,
More dangerous.
accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those one who disappear and they just appear
Surface,
one
yeah.
day and then tell me who watch we are vibing. Oh, let's meet here. Before you see Skolo.
You are seeing more than what you are supposed to.
So those things, it's not all that should be enemies, but I believe in creating boundaries.
Yes.
Creating boundaries. I know the extent I can go with my ex.
Yes.
And for instance, I don't stay alone with ladies in a place where it's not open.
Yeah.
And I'm a pastor. I permit people to visit me a lot, but when my wife is not at home and someone wants to visit and it's a lady, I talk with you in front of the gate.
Wow.
Yeah, where everybody is passing.
Yeah.
Okay. To the extent that the gate has a CCTV camera footage picking a shot from there, so everybody will see whatever happens. And my wife knows me. I scarcely hug, even her. I don't hug her like that.
Yeah.
So if you should tell her,
So you're not a hugger.
so she says something all the time that there are some things if she hears someone accuse me of it, she will not believe it. Like I was alone with her somewhere, or I hugged her. Me, if you hug me, you can tell whether this one you forced the hug or I openly hugged.
That was a hug.
Yeah.
Let's talk about accusations. Maud.
Yeah.
Daniel is sending us a message, and he says that, men of God, this DNA test is so alarming. I even had a lady at a point in the relationship, she will vocally tell you that the child is not yours. As it stands now, I don't know if she is my child or not, because later she said she just said those things out of anger.
Yeah, I know cases like that. Just to threaten you and you sit up.
No, but
You spark some sort of
but
suspicion
is
in
that
the head.
And I video
Some people,
there.
when they are angry, they
Expensive
can say things. So some will
No, but
craft
not to
the
that
thing and say,
Yeah, that's reproduction
too-
is a
But that
very-
level of
They-
accusation or that level of
Serious.
anger is, I mean,
Yes.
how do you
No,
tell
no.
someone you are with that
Yes.
No,
the child is not yours, and
yours.
later
You
say,
can never-
No.
no matter how you're angry, you can never get to that
No,
point.
to that point.
My
no.
grandfather says Zaka nani, meaning when you are crying you can still see. So when you're angry you can still think. And if you're angry you can still
I
think
don't
no
solely
matter what.
believe if you are angry, you can think, because people do
You-
certain
No,
things
not
in
You
think.
anger.
can
Not think.
not okay. Not you wouldn't
Not think.
think right, but you're still thinking. The moment you are
Is
picking
it
something
not the
up,
Bible that says out of the abundance of
Of the
the
heart,
heart,
the
the
mouth
mouth
speaketh.
speaketh.
So
Yeah,
I said,
but-
"Well, Minnesota be Canada," and
And
that
I appear.
event brought itself,
Yeah.
and she said it.
I wouldn't take it lightly.
Unless maybe
At all,
she's
I won't
planning to do
either.
something
I will borrow
like that.
7,000 to check.
to check.
Cry.
I will borrow 7,000.
You don't mind owning
No,
MTN?
no, Kevin, because you see,
You just don't
I
spew
think,
words.
that, I think that there are certain comments.
it's
For instance, I'm just putting in scenarios here. If you're having a fight with your partner, and your partner says, "Even me, Christ settled with you. I could have married someone better."
Aye.
It is not out of
do you
anger.
Okra
a
me
favor.
falsa.
For me, yeah. For
Managing
me,
you.
I would never see that thing as a passing comment or something you said out of anger. It means you've mooted over it. It's something you've brooded over for a very long time, and you didn't get the opening
Yes.
to actually say it. So for me, it looks as if more fathers are there doing fatherly duties because they don't have money for DNA.
Yes. Yes.
It even gets more scary the generation before us when technology was not so
Much.
because
I talk about
But I
things.
feel like during those times they didn't really have these issues because they
Oh, you
didn't have
mean
to
there was
think.
no
You
issues
see,
with
our
mistrust?
generation we
Then
think
they are
and
only,
we
it only
really
happen
overthink.
if a party is about to die and confessions are made.
No,
on
but
the-
Basic
that's
things like
most
oh,
times
Klawe
they
was
get
semi,
there
or
on the
any Nyama to
dead.
semi. His mannerisms are like mine. For all you know, the child wasn't his child, but he took care of the child, and I mean, life went on smoothly, and they never had any
Oh,
issues.
yeah.
So for us, it's all about us being right, and it's like always about no, I don't want to be cheated, like that kind of thing. I see
Yes.
that aggression
Yes.
a lot. So if we just
Some
are
to
able
have
to
the
calm
cases
down,
where the fathers of those children to start coming into the picture.
okay.
Some start
Yeah.
visiting.
you know
Some to all
Yeah,
of a
those are
sudden it's a
special
cousin.
cases,
yeah
Because
The
it's
cousin
either
thing, I
he.
know of a certain tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they-
if no
cousin,
hit has
cousin, but
arose,
then
arisen,
you hear
then
certain-
It's just
Yeah.
like SHS,
Calm.
school father, and things are going on. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So.
So the unspoken pain of dealing with an unperforming partner, KB, you know, I don't think it's an issue that a lot of people open it up for enough conversations when you have a partner that, you know, normally couples would like to keep it discreet that my partner is not performing or is not potent enough to father a child or the wife cannot, you know, give birth. That kind of pain that you have to deal with. And at a point it becomes so difficult for you, you think that let me just find an alternative because it's getting quite difficult. I am looking at when a person is going through all this, emotionally, psychologically, who they turn to. Because you mentioned confidant. I think someone mentioned confidant. Somebody begins to comfort you. And also, this is where I think the pastors will bash you small. KB will help me. Normally, you realize that some pastors, not all, project themselves as solutions to all problems. Okay. So in this case, the person may be entrusting their issue in your hands, sharing deeper things, stronger connections with you. And you know, it is a natural phenomenon that the more you talk to someone, the more they share their deepest part with you, the more you connect faster.
You give them attention
and all that. So the way we look for comfort in other people other than our partners, the risk of it, and how it leads to affairs. You are married.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself in any way, you know, not to put you on the spot, but someone has told you, not you.
Yeah.
So that your wife will not
asking
come and
for
say,
a friend.
"You're asking for a friend." You're asking for a friend. Do you know any friends who at a point said that, I started confiding in this particular lady because Charlie, she gets me. My wife doesn't get me, like this thing that I'm going to, I'm telling her about it. And do you hear such stories?
Well, what I think, or what I've observed is usually it's like a game of chess or draft. When you are behind it and all this, me, come you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a way, for example, let me take a detour, like even with politics, the opposition is the most wise caucus, the most wise form of cabinet, the most wise political party until
when they're in the steering wheel. Or the steering wheel.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then Kofi Kinata.
Yeah.
So what I think should also happen, whether we like it or we'll need troubleshooters. We need people to fix. We need fixers in society. They have to know their work and be their sort.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a counselor, President Paul Kagame is doing it. I don't know. People might disagree, but if you want to start something that is as sensitive as a ministry, to become a pastor, a religious leader in Africa, a religious leader. He's a finance person. He's a marriage counselor. He's a sex therapist.
Business consultant.
Everything.
Yeah,
all in all. So, if you say you're a counselor, you should have gone through the mail. You should have known professional therapy. You should know what. Even when you are talking to the opposite sex, when a person is getting too crossing up, you should be professional enough to know. And also, even the setup, it should be. If it's not transparent, at least a bit opaque. This place where we go and get aquanche in Africa, then it's like some
dilation.
Dilation. There is like some booth that nobody can. The junior pastor cannot see through. Nobody can. Even somebody can even accuse you of rape, just to bring your ministry down. So the asking for a friend or for speaking for a friend, these things will definitely come up. Human beings,
people can at a point in their marriage or relationships turn to another
they
person
should
for comfort.
They should. So this, when I say it sounds weird, but like that is why me and my scientific community, we've brought us AI and these things. People think we are a 10, but we human beings are very prone to error. So that's why we have the technology. It is anonymous. I can't mention certain apps, but it is such a way that it treats you very anonymous. It's like when I'll go and say something, then now that Pastor Newton is preaching about infidel, they'll be like, hey, also for it's not the time that I want to say that is why he's preaching this, and then I've stopped the church. So let's apply technology. There are some platforms for there's a group called Alcoholic Anonymous. Like there are things that they have the same challenge as you, but you don't get to see them because in Ghana we use radio stations. But sometimes when you call on radio stations, somebody can pick up your voice and know, or they can decide, that my boyfriend, he comes on a radio a TV show every afternoon on Wednesdays 2 to 4 p.m. around Jolu. They tell you realize now they profile and then there is no you're just asking for a friend. So let's use technology more and let's use professionals more. But turning to somebody, it will become necessary.
It will become necessary.
The nature of our
technology. No,
Josie, you have found
that's
yourself
proven beyond human error.
I think they are geographically biased. Maybe it's skewed towards a particular setting, and it's not
because I remember in the Ghana month, in the month of March, we were doing some research work, and we used AI to look for the keyword for royal on AI, and he said Ahomrasia. So you see.
You see that one is the programmers, those who
so you see I didn't even know it didn't come ready
Royal
to mind. Royal is Odyssey, but the AI said it's
usually this thing, it sounds is the coding. When when they are coding, they don't add a lot of the inputs from the indigenous languages. So that one it can be corrected. So
like
it's actually not a problem. So
it's not covering entirely.
And even how many local language
people
people do we have to usually also give an input to the coding time?
So let's stay on topic, Josie.
So it's like Josie wants to pour sand in my gari.
Do you
solely rely on AI?
So you want to be traditional and go to humans?
Have you ever
it's not cut in stone.
They'll use it to
have you ever had a time where you had to turn to someone to share your issue?
I do that all the time.
That wasn't your
human
partner that you were with at the time.
Yes, I do that all the time.
How
It works for me.
How
So
are you
if-
able to draw the lines?
Oh,
we're asking for a friend.
borders are so up. Like, I respect borders a lot. I'm that person. Like, if you're nothing to me, there's that line. I won't blur it out in any way.
You work with
I'm
immigration?
so high on loyalty. Huh?
You work with immigration?
No. So yes, I have that confidant, and he's a guy. He's married. So we both share, whatever. But I share mine a lot more than he does because he's there, and I'm just a
And
baby.
them as you unpack us every.
But me kwana me kasa, me share ne kasa because I have a lot on my plate. I'll just load him with it, and he'll give me what he thinks is right from a male perspective because I'm dealing with a male.
Obviously.
I can't seek help from a female. So it sort of helps me to an extent, but I think also we're not opening up entirely to our partners. It's because we haven't tried it. Sometimes deep in our head, we've already judged ourselves that, hey, now we can't make cooking. Will he really accept? Will he agree to it? Will he give me that open, or that reception to what I really want him to change for or change to or whatever? So we don't even attempt it. But sometimes you even attempt it, and it's thrown back in your face. So you'd rather seek help elsewhere than your partner.
Elsewhere is the problem.
Mine is
that
not
is
a
what I
problem.
wanted to
Mine, there's not a
discuss.
problem. When your borders are really there, I don't think you will be found
and aside
wanting.
the borders too, there's also principle, because
Yes.
if
should
the
be
borders are
principled
there,
enough.
because there are some people. I had someone telling me that she knows I'm married, but as a pastor, if I tell her to lie down to sleep with her, she can't say no.
Can't say no.
Hey.
So that
because you're a spiritual
Spiritual
authority.
She can't say no as in she likes you, or she can't say no
some
as
is
in out of
about
From
like
authority.
some to. I can't say it's just like maybe
Reverence, probably.
some reverence, like you see,
Reverential
we
fear.
are. Excuse me, we are angry in Nana Akufo-Addo, for instance, but you can't
Hey,
stand
you
in
and
his
who?
face.
asking for a friend.
No,
Pastor Diti, just ask for this. Speak for yourself.
no,
Because
you
I
see,
don't-
Are you speaking for a
No.
friend?
no, I'm talking for majority of
Oh, it
Ghanaians.
is possible.
I'm
Majority
talking for
of
majority of
Ghanaians-
Ghanaians, not political Ghanaians.
maybe you are in this boat with Josie.
Because you can be angry. You sometimes look at the way you're angry about some people, but when they appear and they said, I'm here, tell me, they can't say it. There's something
yes.
so that was what she was trying to talk about. But I was saying, if you are principled, and I'm talking to Smart, and Smart now I confine her, and she sees that I lack care, and she wants to put your arm on my shoulders, let me pump before it's because you see mostly ladies at that moment they are very vulnerable.
Yes.
I had friends in the university where a lady was going to share stories to another male friend that I've broken up with my guy, that what I've done for him. In that, don't cry, no, something has happened.
I need some education. How come that happens? Because if you are heartbroken, your affection is shattered.
So that's the level of not mistrust. The affair gets to. That's how come I want us to explore the lines of trusting, having a confidant,
So
looking for comfort. So, at what point do you think that this person is
The-
a happy place?
The confidant thing, I'll say, for me, I believe it should be an elderly person.
Yes.
But I mostly go for elderly couples because we are married.
Mm.
So, as I always talk about mentorship, have older couples that you can share things to.
Some can be boring.
I know, but you chose them. It's just like friendship. Friendship is a choice. I decide to be KB's friend not because he's too handsome or something. Because for me, I have all my friends in categories. Someone on occasional purpose, entertainment and spiritual. So there are spiritual matters. If KB is not in the spiritual category, I don't go to him. So that's what I do. So when you get these senior couples and you talk to, and I know how and there are some people my wife knows. So if there's something I'm doing that she doesn't like, she knows people she can talk to and they'll get my attention to talk to me. But I also say couples should be friends.
I don't know why that is not enough. I think that no matter how friendly the two of you are,
so that's why it should start from friends. When you are a friend and you talk and it's not working, then the outside confidants come in, who may talk from a point of experience to let you guys know that, Charlie, because even friends disagree most of the time, but there are times where we must, how do they say it, agree to disagree. That kind
my struggle is that it's not planned. So I'm struggling to find the right way to put it. Let's say, for instance, I meet Josie. Josie is an old mate of mine. We are in a conversation. Smart, I've been taking a look at your status lately. You look stressed. Do you understand me?
Genuinely.
Genuinely. She's, and I'm like, see, you have no idea. Oh, what is it? Then we start talking. So that is how come I'm saying that you don't plan that.
But I also
this is how the conversation will go.
Their strengths. I'm a pastor. I believe in holistic development. I develop myself a lot. But there are things when people engage me, after I tell you what I think I know, then I direct you to someone who is good at that. I remember a friend was talking to me about spiritual matter. I told him I'm not a prophet. But I have a prophet friends I want him to talk to. And I put them on a conference call and they spoke and I was quiet.
Now, what do you think of KB's point when it comes to some regulations being put in place to penalize men of God, for instance? Because you see, the reason why I have an issue with that is they hold so much trust in society. So much trust in society. So if we get to find out that a pastor has fathered 3, the next question, 3. The question will be, which other lady in the church?
You understand? The question of morality and principle too comes in. Because some of these people who said they are pastors, I don't want to use the word they are pastors, some are charlatans. And the Bible even spoke about there are some have sneaked in like sheep in wolf clothing and they claim to be pastors. And you see, the church is a respectable institution. So when I was young, I used to see magicians and Medina and all those stuff. Where are they today? Most of them have seen that now people will not come and stand and watch magic. But when you present it in church, I have seen a so-called person called a pastor, Ochima Kokoti, and doing like so to him. And we also say the pulpit is an altar. So he said he's offering. So all those things, that's why I believe in human beings should be reasonable and not gullible. Because some people go to and say they are pastors. Because you can't hear a certain case against Archbishop Ajinasari on some of these petty things. But why is it with other pastors? Because training and father, I always believe in mentorship and who fathered who. Because that's why some pastors are nearly, I can mention Prophet T.B. Joshua, for instance. People didn't know who his spiritual fatherhood connected to. So that's why he had the challenge of being accepted. But Ghana, so far as your church is growing and it's popular, politicians respect you, and as you said, you are respectable, so it's deemed you should know everything. But that's why you should, as a human being, say that I know this is my strength, this is not my strength. So churches have my church, for instance, my pastor, anything marriage, whether he has experience or not, he directs you to the counseling department.
But is that taught as a prerequisite for all pastors in your church?
That's where the training comes in. Because how many of them went to Bible school? Are you getting it? When I look at some of the Bible schools,
that Bible school issue, the illiterates, when it came in some time past, when especially Opambo and those people became very popular, this became a crutch for like the learned ones. When they go to university, then they say that they are called, they are not. But we, the ones who didn't get opportunity, when God called, it's like it's paining them. So how do you decipher.
when God
Because
calls
spiritual
you,
matters are not debated.
yeah, but when God calls you, He
that one
gives.
I beg to differ.
It-
But
No,
it-
when someone says God called him, how can you tell?
You can't just-
there are
Yeah,
terms and
very
conditions.
much.
Of course,
No,
when
that
I say
God
I'm a
called-
medical
By their
doctor,
way.
there are
Yeah,
things.
No, that's
like
a
you
medical
guys, I'm a
doctor.
driver.
That's a medical doctor.
Oh no, it's
You
not
see,
all
if God
callings you can
called
prove.
someone,
Yeah, you can't prove.
How do you verify if the call was true or not?
Yeah.
Can test the
The
spirit.
mentoring,
Why you
the
there?
fruits, the impact.
Exactly.
We can all read a scripture. The one with anointing and the one with the calling, he can interpret it and he's like, oh wow, okay, all this while John 3:16 is another level. You
Yeah.
can tell.
But the person's revelation could also be wrong, mind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Like,
Revelation
are
has to
really
go. You
deceiving
see,
us.
you see, my problem with Africa is that we vet everything but pastors and this
Not
might
even
sound-
pastors, spiritual leaders.
or religious
Yeah,
leaders,
yeah.
and it's something that worries me because it's only in Africa that a pastor is a financial, a marital, and like for example, medical school, 7 years, like. And a medical doctor cannot tell you
But
how
you know
to fix
he
your
can
car.
finish the medical practice and still go and mess up and you'll be
But
sacked.
at least after 7 years, there's a lot of checks and balances.
Yeah.
But
So
after 3
there,
months,
so I
somebody
mean,
says
where
he's a
you are
pastor.
talking about structure to more of regulate them.
Yes, it
so
might
you
be
see, like
informal.
lawyers after law school, they have Ghana Bar
there's a- but
Association.
yeah, there are
their
some
code
sub-
of ethics.
Yes, if you have to
Uh-huh.
start a private clinic, there are certain whatever. But in
But
Ghana,
for us, how many of even the pastors coming are ready to join those associations?
yeah, but that's where the indiscipline coming.
Yeah, so
Why
I get
should
your
it be
point from where the
same
law
for
must work.
Soldiers, for doctors, and but for pastors, like, oh, Africa, we did. No, to me personally,
I get your point
Yeah,
because
it's
as
high
with
time,
this calling,
2024.
with this calling thing, you can be called. But when you look throughout scripture, there was nobody God called and he immediately jumped onto ministry. There was a moment of training. Paul,
It's
when
standard.
God called Paul, he disappeared
years.
into the desert of Arabia for 14
for
years.
14 years.
And nobody heard of him. When he came to, he didn't just rush into ministry.
At all.
He went to the big guys, Apostle Peter and others, that when I was in, let's say, training school or Bible school,
Yes.
this was what Jesus taught me. You guys have been with him.
Yes.
Is this so? That's where Peter saw some of them and
He
said, "Charlie,
qualifies the called.
yeah, he
Yes.
qualified."
Call the qualified.
No, yeah,
Not
yeah, no,
necessarily.
yeah. So
It
you
looks
need
like I'm
training.
diverse,
So
but
that's
like
why,
smart. That
No,
thing
but
really
I
worries
think-
me
I think
because,
that I get your
because
point.
religious things are really causing a lot
your
of
point.
drama.
Yeah, yeah,
I
pa.
think it just goes back to us reading the Bible. Sometimes we are lazy.
People
We
don't
are
know
hear
God for
from other
themselves.
We
people.
don't.
But don't
So we
forget,
need to have
you know you can
personal relationship with
self-medicate.
God. Yeah, you
Yes.
can.
But the Ghana Medical Association will make sure somebody
Yes,
to call
that's
because
necessary.
so it goes hand in hand.
so but that the morals and character comes in because there are
No,
certain
regulation
drugs,
is
there are certain
then let's
drugs you
leave
can't-
doctors to be moral.
No, you can't give certain drugs without prescription. But here comes Josie, is a friend and she's a pharmacist.
Uh-huh.
She can easily give it to me.
But
and
she
may
can
not-
lose her license by the
but
pharmaceutical
on the
council.
blind
That
side.
is
Yeah, on the blind
if
side.
it turns out wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if it works, who
But
is
with
gonna
pastors,
know?
Yeah.
there's no punishment.
If you
Nobody
did-
can
if
tell
you
me that,
didn't-
you are removing Reverend KBs, we are withdrawing. He will just go and start another church.
I
He will
think
just,
that the Pentecost church has
They have
some.
that.
Oh yeah, some
Yeah.
churches have structures.
some is in the majority.
I know
No.
charismatics that when they disassociate from
Yeah.
you. I know one for you all know the
This
church.
association is not penal. It's not a penalizing enough.
Yeah, you did something. It's in court. They said you were a pastor of
Want you
DSD.
to
Stand
step
out.
back from
With the
that.
Then
doctors,
when
they
the
withdraw your
judgment comes
license.
and
You
there's
cannot
evidence,
practice.
They tell you we can't. You
Then
can't
they
belong
have to
us
withdraw
again.
your license maybe for a
So
time
they
for you to go
withdraw
through
their
discipline.
license, but still a lot of people know you to be pastor.
Okay,
How
so-
many people even heard your
So
case?
if the police sees you practicing pastoral, he should be able to arrest you
That's
just
why
like the
there
doctor.
need to be a law for that, but we
Yes.
don't have.
So
We are
about
not
to
ready
stay
for it.
Just that when the law Rollins
Let's stay on
time,
topic. Let's stay on topic.
when Rollins time.
Oh, we are on topic.
No, let's stay on topic. So
If we have good pastors, we have good marriages. Because we have good.
No, but
they
even
are
with
not
this
solely-
marriage thing, I
they
want
are not
to.
solely
Hey.
the arbitrators.
Yeah.
No, they are
Not
not.
at all.
They are not.
Most
Yeah, yeah.
most
They are
marriage
not solely
counselors
the
are from the
arbitrators.
church. True or false? Most counselors in the Muslim will come from the
How
mosque. True
many
or
minutes?
false?
How many minutes do couples spend with their counselors, even through the
That's
counselors?
time. Is it
It's just 2 hours.
13 weeks?
13 weeks,
weeks,
and
but 2
in that
hours per
13
week.
weeks, it's actually a day in
But
that
who is the
week.
default go-to person usually?
That's
It's a
why I'm
marriage
saying
counselor.
that
Because you are a
doesn't
Christian,
necessarily
that's why
mean-
you go for Christian counselors.
Yes, the Muslims also do same.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that quality of that pool of resource people is key.
So it's the responsibility of the organization to see those people are well trained and equipped.
Even radio programs that claim they are it's a relationship, we have to you see,
those
there's
ones.
a lot of loopholes.
No, that one I
We
believe
take a lot of
they
things for
mix
granted.
it to their biases.
But it has to be checked.
Yeah,
We have
but
the media
with this
permission.
with this whole marriage thing, as you were saying, it's not about if you're a good pastor, you'll be a good marriage. But I believe if you're a good Christian,
Exactly.
not a church-going Christian,
Okay.
a Christian that believes everything the Scripture, God is your direction.
Yeah.
you will be good in everything, not marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
A good pastor will be a good politician. A good Christian will be a good politician.
Yeah.
A good Christian will be a good worker. It's not like
then what you are saying, you are really making us think some way. But if
oh, that's the
He's
truth.
right. You
Hard to
carry
grasp.
Christ with you everywhere.
Everywhere.
then
not
for
like-
what you're saying, then the nation, the homophobia nation there, then is that they don't have Christians. So that
Oh, yeah,
country
we
I
don't
know
have.
that is
It's-
homophobia. Then they don't have
Now,
Christians.
even people have just
I
seen
think that
church as
I think that is a level of loyalty. So that's what he's talking about. So at the end of the day, let's say you are a Christian one and you're also a politician. If you find yourself in the political circle doing certain things that are quite untoward, then you should question your Christian beliefs.
yeah, your
So
belief
for instance,
will be your decider.
like a lot of people look at just politicians,
Yeah.
but I'm always focused on civil servants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody brings a letter and you are comfortable hiding the letter as a front desk lady,
Yeah.
you are not Christian enough.
Yeah.
Because the letter was not addressed to you.
You, yeah.
You should make sure that your work
relayed.
demands that
Yeah.
the
And
letter
even
gets
your
to
work
this person.
says do it.
Okay.
But as
So,
you are now
so then Ghana, are we
Bible tells us in
Christians?
Colossians, everything our hands
Well,
find doing,
we are
we
You
Christian.
see where I'm saying
We are
we should be
Christian.
careful.
we
Yeah,
are
we
Christian
are
on paper.
faith.
When we are
Okay,
Christian on
okay.
paper, when we are
we
failing
are
for
Christian on paper.
because
Everybody
these
here,
politicians
religion,
we
Christian.
hear stealing millions and stuff.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
of them are elders.
Yeah, that's and stuff.
So it's about being a good Christian.
So bearing the fruit of a true
It's
Christian,
not
that's what matters.
Well, it's not just
Me, I
about.
think our laws are not effective.
Well,
Ghana have every law
That
in
is
this
that
world.
is also on the other
Ghana
side.
have every law that
Yeah,
can make us
we
win,
don't
but
enforce.
it's
Yes.
enforcement.
Because
So-
there are countries that they are not very Christian, but everything is pepe. They will
Yes,
punish you as well, but they don't speak in tongues.
But remember, those countries too.
Let's-
Foundations are on good morals.
Let's move and
We
stay on topic.
criticize
So,
US, but their earlier foundations were formed on Christian.
all right. So,
tenets.
Mod, when you take a look at people who end up trusting the wrong person, or should I even say wrong person, or end up trusting someone
takes advantage of
who takes advantage of them. I don't know why I shudder to use the word takes advantage of somebody, because the time the thing was coming, you were seeing that thing.
Yeah.
So how did the person take advantage? I think
Apart from rape,
that statement is very
you
debatable.
struggle
When
to-
people, yes, I struggle
or like
honestly.
a man,
get you.
a
That
young
is
man
me.
saying I was raped. Like a young
Yes.
man, how were you raped? How did the thing even get up for it to even?
Maybe the person was worked on their mind. You know, you were conscientized to take it at that point.
Okay.
Yes.
Taking advantage of someone, it's
It's
shaking my mind.
It's a conversation.
I don't know, because as adults,
Yeah.
if we're having a conversation and you are comfortable and uncomfortable,
Yeah, so
you
true.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know when to
Yeah.
say, see, Charlie, where it is getting to.
The way it has
Unless you
drew.
want it, the way it has drew. No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unless-
how do you?
unless-
The person is weak.
Unless-
and the person is thriving on that
How?
state of the person.
But
Josie,
with men-
we are talking about.
people-
We are
But
talking
there are some
about.
people don't know their
Oh,
vulnerabilities.
also
oh.
a better.
Yeah, some
They
people
were
don't know their
people.
vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I get it.
Yeah.
There are some
Yeah.
girls they can scan and
Yeah.
tell.
Even some guys who can scan. For
Who are
instance,
really
in my
gullible.
SHS, there was this lady who didn't know where her feelings were, but guys knew. So they can go play with her palms, and so then she falls, then they sleep with her. So when we left schools, the number of guys she has
no.
slept that have slept with her, she doesn't know.
No, she was just doing extracurricular activities.
Yeah, she was just possessed.
yeah,
or
some
something. Or
didn't
she's
know.
a
So-
freak or something.
It's just a
Okay.
matter of that.
Let's open up the phone lines at this time. 0207-10,001. 0207-10,001. We are hearing so much about DNA testing, people trying to find out whether they are fathers of the kids that they have with their partners. And it's getting interesting because in recent times, there's been a lot of talk. People are asking for it to be mandatory right after childbirth. So maybe they should have a standby paternity test kit.
Wow.
Okay, we have our first caller. Let's jump on to the phone lines. Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome to Be Frank. Hello,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, I am Mike. I am calling from Hohoe.
Mike, you're calling from
Hohoe.
Hawaii. Okay, let's hear you, sir.
Yeah, so I just want to know about the DNA testing. If you are with a woman or you're in a marriage and you realize that or there's issues that is making you look like the children does not belong to you, but you don't have the money to afford for a DNA test, what is more advisable to do?
From the seat I am in presently, I don't think I'll be the right person to give an answer to that, because from what we know, personally, I'm not talking about the whole crew on the panel today. From my checks, the least I have seen cost 7,000 Ghana cedis. So if the person is not in the capacity to afford for a paternity test or a DNA test, I think that they should have a conversation, with somebody who can be a sponsor or somewhat, at the end of the day to finance it. But I wouldn't be the one to give the right advice at this point in time, because I think that most people find out certain things a little later. And so if you don't have the money, someone will say save for it and check. That is what I can say from where I sit, because I don't think I would give the right advice. But if you really want to do it, I think you should save for it and do it. But then before you also do it, please speak to a counselor. I mean, I'm talking about a certified counselor to know the nuances that come with it, because there is impact on children, there is impact on marriage, there is impact on even your own life, as an individual outside of the marriage. So I think that you should speak to a certified counselor. Make sure you're ready to go on this road and save to do it. That is what we can say from our quarters at this point in time, sir.
But I can also add this thing about.
So Mike has left the line. You can jump onto the phone lines 0207 10001 0207 10001. Today we are discussing affairs, mistrust, and the DNA confusion. Pastor Newton.
Yeah, this thing about you realize they are not your children. As I keep saying, we are even adopted children of God. What is wrong in taking care of someone?
Pastor Newton, I think there is a
That's a
major,
waste of time.
there is a
but you
major
see, it's
influence.
too much concern about
It should
not
be.
my biological.
It should be. It should
That's
be,
why some
because
people are even fighting adoption.
the issue is not about fathering the child.
but
The issue is
you've been
about the
deceived.
deception.
Yes, I get.
So if I am made to believe something
Yeah.
for 35 years of my life,
Yeah.
and I have to wake up one day to find out that it's not,
So-
every
So what
single
if
human
it's
being will
going
be
to kill you?
devastated.
You rather die.
If
They
you
will
realize
not
it and
kill
it can
you.
kill you, because
What?
at the end, if you
Just
realize
no
you
threats.
you forgive the person.
Exactly.
Knowing it eventually can also kill you.
Yeah.
So aren't you
If someone brings up the news, someone can pass it.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone can pass it. If you are walking somewhere and the person says, "Oh, you even all your bluffing, you don't even know that your kids are not yours," that is more damaging than hearing it from your partner.
True.
So people wanting to know has no basis of whether they still care.
But I have this policy. I
There
do
are people.
sometimes-
Let me just land on that. There are people who have come to know and accepted and told the ladies that, see,
It's fine.
these people are still children to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind taking care of them because I have become a part of their lives.
Exactly.
But there are ones who also just cannot fathom.
Some too is depends
That
on
they
how
have
you
to
got to
spend.
know. Like the one who may accept it, right? It
Yeah.
depends on how the issue came up.
I think in Ghana it was the DV lottery thing that lottery visa. You should bring your kids to that. I think that's
Is it American lottery? or-
American lottery thing that started that
Exposed it.
Yeah.
But
First of all.
sometimes too, some things are best left if you don't know.
Out now Ghana.
If it's not
Oh.
posing any threat
Threat
to
to
you,
you, yes.
let sleeping dogs lie.
Well,
Easier said than done.
it would be sleeping dogs until you find out someone else's child is taking all your properties.
Gosh.
So
Yeah.
what happens if you wake up 50 years after working so
Yeah.
hard,
But you love this
accruing?
child.
It's not about loving the child. It's about who the father of the child is. Because if I will those properties to that child, the father now comes in to say that, see, they've willed everything to you. I'm now coming to take
But I
it.
think
So
in a
then
court of
pay
law
me
they can
every-
establish.
Oh yeah, they can.
Even
Oh,
I
there's
heard
a
that
lot.
when you stay under the same roof with like a woman,
Yeah,
for
the cohabitation,
yeah,
those
which
things.
is
Yeah,
can be
anything.
deemed marriage.
So we
those
should
things
commit ourselves to more
legality.
education,
Yeah,
learning,
exactly.
and
Lawyers are
knowing.
reasonable
Exactly.
people.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Our
reasonable
pastors
people.
should get better education. Most of them.
Oh yeah,
Not all
I
of them.
believe.
So
with
we
you.
shouldn't have quote unquote pastors who want to double or triple
As
or
counsel-
quadruple
Yes.
at every
It's
single
like
thing.
counseling. Scout be
Some,
able to know
no,
what they want.
some too have schooled for it and has a certificate.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's scout be more.
Adua from Takwa says that I think that most times such issues occur as a result of mistrust right from the beginning of the relationship. If the foundation of the relationship is weak, then these things are expected.
Oh, yeah, the
Transparency is key.
Courtship period,
Transparency
also, yeah.
is relative. Sometimes people think
it can be
that
expensive.
transparency is relative,
Yes.
or another person too say it's subjective.
It depends
But
on the person.
when someone says be transparent with me, be transparent with me, you finally get to be transparent with the
You
person.
can take.
But it depends on if
I have
both
a financial,
are-
I have a financial advice for those who can afford DNA. For some of us, last time I said that I'm a non-allied spiritual. I'm the non-allied spiritual movement. Please, every maternity
So-
ward should have eggs
and snap.
and snap.
Hey,
Case
please,
closed. It's less than
there's a
7.
Christian podcast.
Okay, my bad.
It's
I
a
did-
Christian
I forgot
podcast,
my-
so we can advise our
Okay,
viewers
sorry.
on that.
Sorry.
Adwa from Takwa says,
I was saying for a friend.
okay, so that's the message I just read. Transparency is key. But then let me move on to my last question for today. What has caused all this disorientation? Why is it that people are finding out these things are just the divorced moments, the periods of divorce? 0207 10,001. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Your name and where you're calling from, sir?
My name is Otre, calling from Achimota.
Ochre from Achimota. Ochre, let's hear you, sir.
Okay. What I want to say is that when it comes to the issue of the DNA stuff, and I want to also comment a bit on what one of your panelists was saying about pastors and they have to be regulated and all of that. I think it's quite dicey, but if we only delve into the DNA stuff, with the DNA issue, when technology wasn't around and people didn't know much about what actually DNA really is and who is cheating on me or having this kind of stuff. Even when they have mistrust with their partner, they do not know anything about going to test for anything. So they were living all right until technology came out and people just got to know that, I mean, you can go test for it and you should check whether your partner is cheated on you or not. Now the issue is that how can we also know that whatever they checked or whatever they tested was true or was right? Because there have been instances where doctors have given wrong medication, have diagnosed people wrongly, and so on and so forth. So now in this scenario, how do we get to know that? So I think the issue here is that we have to be able to conscientize ourselves and get to the root of the whole matter by making sure that people are well educated about marriage before they enter into marriage. People are going to marry because they just love the fact that there will be this lavish wedding or people are getting married. And there is no enough example from the home by the parents to their children to train them up to even know more. So I think the problem is with homes, with our educational institutions, and also with the churches. Now, the issue of the pastors as well I want to talk about is that, I mean, this is something that God is the one who's calling. How can the government sensitize that and say that, okay, this one is qualified, not qualified? People go to the, pastoral schools, and it depends on the institution. Institutions and their own values and whatever they teach. Their theology nowadays is very different from one.
Yeah, it varies from one denomination to the other.
Yeah, how do we then know that this institution is actually teaching the right word of God? And that's why the Holy Spirit is there to guide us and teach us. Yeah. So I think for me, it is a very big thing that we are talking about, and then we need to really go to the root of it all, and then really look at it from a very particular angle, and not just try to make a big fuss about it and make sure that and say that everybody should be streamlined in a particular way. We should rather go to the root. This is God. God is the one who teaches marriage. He's the one who teaches everyone. And if God is the one who calls pastors, he's the one to show that this is the right pastor. So some of your panelists were even saying that people come out with attitudes and fruit that we are able to keep on that this is the child of God. If you don't know the Bible very well, there is no way you are even going to be able to show that this is the true man of God. Or because even if it's a prophet, the prophet must be able to speak from the premise of the word of God. Anything that goes contrary to the word of God is never the word of God at all. Yeah,
wow. Great submission, Autry. Thank you so much for joining in with that particular submission. That's Autry from Achimota. So that is an interesting way of looking at things. Very, 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 very interesting. One of the things that he said, I've always been a firm believer because of my work with youth advocacy. I believe a lot in going back to do an orientation for the ones who are yet to take up that particular reins or the offices. Because, a lot of times people say, oh, the politicians are corrupt. Then I ask myself, are they foreigners? Are politicians foreigners? No, if they are not, it means that they are coming from amongst us.
Right.
And scripture says the Christians, one of them. Exactly that. So sometimes it is from our own tribe. So the orientation must be there. He touched on what Josie said. People are marrying because, Charlie, the time is up. My biological clock is ticking. Let me marry. And they are not resolute to the point. I have met strong 33-year-olds who will tell you, Charlie Smart, I'm not bending my rules for anybody. If I would find the right person, I will find the right person. I wouldn't say, oh, my time is so anyone at all, I would just go to and say, let the person take over and come and marry me. Because maybe, you see, I may not necessarily love the person, and I'm just looking for a ring. If it is just a ring, I can buy one and put it on my hand. Yes. But we have people who are going into the marriages with less orientation, less teaching. Like he said, people don't even listen to their own parents about marriage anymore. They don't.
Some of them, they are not worthy examples.
Oh yeah, that one.
I got in trouble last week when I said most of our counselors are foreigners.
In broken homes.
I was attacked. You remember?
No, you didn't say counselor. You said the books we are reading.
Tim Lai.
Tim Lai, and
why you act the way you do.
So temperament.
Temperament on temperament. So that's the book on temperament. So thank you so much, Autry. 020-7-10,001 020-7-10,001. We are discussing affairs, mistrust, and DNA confusion. And Autry is saying that, see, we can talk about DNA all we want. We can talk about it all we want, but that's not the root cause.
Yeah.
The root cause is, how do people understand the marriage before getting into it? Because you see, in the olden days, there was no technology to find out this paternity thing and all that. Some people wait. Akolani sell and as on sell before. Yes, and wait there. Or sell for paper. So now it's more about people do not understand the tenets of the marriage, like he said, and we do not commit ourselves to learning. We do not ask enough questions. Everybody wants this lavish wedding. Hey, the wedding is up. Let's go. People love the wedding more, and they plan for the wedding more than they plan for the marriage itself. So you see a lot of people know so much about the wedding, but they don't know jack
planning and things
about the marriage. So you can also call in 0207-10,001. If you're sending us a WhatsApp message, 0203438710. So we have I was going to my last question before the call came in. The disorientation. Yes, the disorientation. And how people are finding out at the latter part. So Pastor Newton is saying that, does it really matter if the child is yours or not? Personally, I think it will matter to me. It would matter to me knowing that I'm putting time, energy, and resource into someone else's child. I would want to know. Because you are saying anywhere in your time that if you don't know, it's best. It will be more devastating to find out later. It is like a light bulb in your mind. When they tell you something about life, and you finish SS, and you now come to find out that, this thing that they used to tell us in school, Asuma is a big lie. See, you are more devastated because it is the deception. It's not just about you not being able to cater for the child. It's the deception.
Like when they tell you when you get a degree,
you get a job. Yeah.
Oh, but we've believed in many deceptions when we are still believing.
But now when we grew up and we found out, we were devastated, and we want to correct the wrongs. You want to correct the wrongs. So why don't we actually come together to deal with the basics? The basics is, are we going back to the textbook? What does the textbook say?
From day one on this marriage talk, we have been talking about what does the scripture says. Because God is the one who instituted marriage. So he's the one who has the scorecard, marking scheme for everything. We do. But instead of that, we are just concerned about the event and not the journey of marriage. And when things do come, we are not. I was telling Josie before we started that a marriage is like a platform where we all come to display various things, but both parties must be ready to make things work. Because when you see issues like this and stuff coming, the pride even from one party that we should get it solved makes it very difficult. Because like as I started saying from the beginning, when we know the root cause why the lady or the guy passed somewhere and there's a child outside that is not his, we had to sit and discuss it. What caused it? You were too absent. There are some, as I said last time, there's a parent, okay, I said it somewhere. There's a parent, to him, he thinks, the father, to him, he thinks fathering is just providing money and that's all. I spoke to his son, and his son has been a gay for 14 years. The dad didn't know. The dad saw him once being sodomized by a plumber in their house at the age of 7, and he beat the boy, and he thought that has left. That spirit has left the guy. He has beaten the gayism. He has beaten the gayism out. But till we went for a school outreach, and this, I don't know, sometimes when I'm preaching, some bold word of knowledge that come, I don't know.
So it was the conviction from the outreach.
Yeah, I made an altar call that if you are here and you are gay, because it was a boys' school, and the guy came. We organized deliverance. Some is spiritual, some is mental. And when we were speaking, and he was telling us that his parents are always busy. Mother, the dad is an ambassador. The mother is
the parents were rich.
Yeah, and it's a top manager in a bank. But he was telling us that he took my phone and said he wants to demonstrate something. He called his dad that my provisions are finished. We slept in the school for the outreach. Less than 2 hours. A driver with a Land Cruiser has brought provisions.
Sure.
So to the dad, school fees, mutual provisions. So that's all. So we don't, some people, so if this discussion, we don't know the role, like you were saying outside, we have to know what the man does, the woman does. Everybody play their role, and we complement one another. And the world will be a beautiful place. But in the place where something is selfishness.
But you know, there are a lot of things that Josie said, which I think KB mentioned that. Josie mentioned it, and in as much as we want to talk about the way people define their roles in marriages, it matters. Sometimes it is the precursor before the marriage itself. Who was I with before? Did I really cut ties with the person, like emotionally, before jumping into the next one? What necessitated a breakup? Why do I feel like no? The moment this person annoys me, the next person I'm looking, you know, there are people in marriages the moment the partner annoys them, I'm calling KB. You know, you have annoyed me. So yes, people do that. Yes, they have the next person on speed dial. So there are a lot of contributory factors that are, you know, pushing for these things. And also, if the biological clock. I always get it wrong. Biological clock. Some ladies feel like, oh, maybe the man is not potent enough and he's on medication, and you have not realized the results yet because the medication may take a while. She feels like it is delaying. Her time is also going.
A delay is not denial, it's patience.
So these are some of the things like I'm saying. So for some people, she wants to save.
Aside this love is
looking to save the marriage. She then creates a bigger problem.
And who said the marriage needs to be saved?
Well, for most people, especially in the African setting, some people. I made a statement on a show, and people were talking about it. I said a marriage is complete without a child.
Yes.
You know, but not in Africa.
Yes. Or in some African settings.
So you may have a couple who understand each other, but the external influences. Why? What is going on? We have waited. Is it your own decision? How come? What is going on? Take this number. I know this herbal man. You know, those pressures. Those pressures.
You should deal with it.
One person may not. How do you handle it?
You can. Yeah, let them know. Sometimes shut the doors. Yeah, because if when you always welcome them like that, that's why they will say things and you will feel under pressure. Let's say, for instance, if your mother is giving your wife pressure, and you stand up to your mother 2 or thrice, and you keep your mother in her corner. She knows that one is your problem, because you see, you should get it that marriage is between the two of you. Although our culture is families, but before the families is two people that bring together those families. So you guys must agree and let us know that. This week I was talking to a mentor of mine, and he told me when there is no child in the family, he said close your ears to societal pressure, because some two are married and it was about children, and after the children came in, the marriage is breaking because the focus is on the children, and the two of us we've been forget, but they forget that the children will grow, marry, and leave the house, and it will be left with the two of us again.
The issue of children, when the child came during the playground, I don't know what happened. The child fell, the head hit the ground, the child died.
And and that one to cause the devastation. That's all, So it should be about the two of you.
Regardless of money.
The two of you, purpose, fulfilling destiny and purpose. That's the moment. Enjoy. So it should be.
It's been an interesting conversation today. Very, very interesting. I've had a lot of eye openers. I've written a lot of notes down. I was jotting down, jotting down a few things because I looked at things from different perspectives. Some of the things that Pastor Newton said, Maud, Josie, KB, made me see things from a different, place. And you are saying that you would go for the fertility test?
Yes.
Before the marriage?
Because I'm fertile. How about you?
Yeah,
Are you fertile?
No, but you can only be fertile when I also know. So we both have to do the test.
I have run the test.
No, but I can't believe, because me too, you should believe my word. I meant say
she went to a facility to falsify the results.
So that is why
we go together.
That is why I don't believe. That's why I don't believe in. Let's do a test from one party who is saying this hospital there they are good. In neutral grounds. When we go, the doctor don't know you. I don't know you. Because some arrange. Because like this, there was a case I was dealing with 2 years ago where the guy had an accident and he was told it to affect his, so he can't give birth. And the doctor was his friend from school. So the doctor knew. When they married, he didn't tell the wife. Then the woman too has been doing everything in the bedroom that Charlie will. So one day in a call, and the guy said something, and it triggered that he should investigate. He went to the doctor friend because he had become a family doctor. He said, "Oh, I heard maybe Osofuniti say this on a call." Then the way the friend paused, he said, "This one I can't tell you. Ask your husband." So that's where some of these things came out. So you see, the doctor was a family friend, so he kept quiet on the thing. So a neutral ground, let's all do it. Prove. Some even do separate. Okay, yanya wa doctor how, Mrs. Yanya wa me doctor how. Then we have
the level of transparency we need sometimes. At the end of the day, it can also either inure to our benefit or destroy it. Because if you openly tell someone, I don't know how many people can hold that information that you cannot father a child, and they will still go ahead to be with you, especially in our African setting. So, like what Maud is saying, we don't like the truth. So when people say
the truth is an ugly duckling,
people say, "Oh, tell me the truth, tell me the truth. I beg you, tell me the truth."
No, because you see, the thing is, one party may be ready to tell the truth, but because of this thing about society where our ready is a collar womb, so if I say that I can't give birth, you may agree that you want to marry, but behind your mind, what will
my mother say? What will my
father? The thing is,
I
was preaching adoption somewhere, and I was saying, listen, this thing I will pray. I want my biological. People have had useless biological children, and the adopted ones are the responsible ones making their parents.
That's a conversation for another day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Another wonderful episode. Your last words, Pastor Newton.
Okay, I want to say marriage in simple terms is a prison. Choose your cellmate well.
Wow.
Okay. More Gladys. That's why he has raised the bar. He has raised the bar. More.
If you want your marriage or your relationship to work, the only true foundation is Christ.
Christ. That's all.
KB.
They've said everything. They've said all the sensible things.
They've said all the sensible things.
So catch us next week.
Same time, same place.
KB the MC.
All right, Joseph.
Yeah, so I would say that we should be like, we should instill the future we want our children to project. In our kids. So if you want your male child to respect the woman, or have the right home, instill that in your son. It starts from our homes.
Train your son, train your wife.
It starts from our homes, and then we establish all the homes from
train your daughter.
I've gotten one sensible. Please don't marry only because of money.
That's all.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for another episode of To Be Frank. We came to you live on Precious Television and also live on Facebook, on YouTube. I was in the studios with Pastor Newton, Maud Gladys, Josie, and KB DMC.
Yes, sir.
My name is Smart Techi, and next to I starting for Apostle Francis Ajanasari, who is still doing the work of the Lord. We are proud of you, Apostle. We can't wait to have you back in the studio. And this is the only Christian podcast that is frank about the current happenings. Our takeaway for today's conversation is, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's ask God what his idea was for marriage, and let's stick to it. Let us not leave our learning. It is very important. Let's speak to our parents. Let's speak to the right people. And if you find a comforter, be well to draw boundaries very well and hold your principles high. Very, very, very important. Until same time next week, I am Smart Teacher Nixon. Bye bye.
Bye.